Good morning and happy Friday. This is Sherry from Just Dogs with Sherry here in Southern California, where it is really chilly this morning. Elsa and I just got back from our very early morning walk, and I actually, for the first time in, what is it? I'm going to say 7 years, I put on my long down coat. And I thought twice about it. I thought, am I going to look stupid in California? But it was like freezing temperatures, low 30s, and there's hardly anyone else out walking when we are. So, not that I cared if they would see me, but I just thought nobody else goes out when it's that cold. Most people wait for the sun to come out. And so I put on my long coat, which I bought in Connecticut. I'm sure some of you remember when I went to Connecticut. If not, you can read my book, PBJ and Me, when my son and I went across the country from California to Connecticut with 4 dogs and all our adventures, which it was pretty insane. But anyway, this morning, after we got back, and I'm on my second cup of coffee because it's so chilly out this morning, I want to talk about positive association and how we create a positive association. And I have to admit, having Riggs here has been really fun because normally I do a lot of training. I'm training puppies all the time. But when you have your own and you can implement all these things to change how a puppy sees our world, it's really cool. And I've been having a blast going from, a puppy who doesn't want to get groomed, doesn't want me to touch his feet, doesn't want me to do his nails, doesn't want me looking in his ears, all that, to having a puppy come running when he hears the Dremel or the hair dryer, or, he sees the brush and he comes running and he's jumping all over me to get brushed. He's got his paw up. He's the one that wants to be brushed first. So it's been really cool to see how it works so well and so easily, I guess. It is a lot of work changing an association, but I hope that I can share a little bit of this so that people can understand how to change associations correctly. So let's just take grooming. All dogs need to be groomed, even Dalmatians, Dobermans that have no hair. They need to be brushed every once in a while. They're going to have a bath. They're going to get their nails done, general maintenance, have their ears cleaned out. And most dogs come to us not enjoying that because it's not something that they have learned. A lot of breeders will start brushing and doing nails and checking teeth, checking ears, all that, like when puppies are 2 weeks old, and then do it like every couple of days. And that's amazing because then they come to you not minding it. This is really, they get used to it. But even when breeders do that, if we don't, as canine guardians, keep that up, and depending on the dog, sometimes you need to do it daily for a while until they're totally used to it. Sometimes you have to do it a couple of times a week. I noticed myself, we've had so much rain that I haven't been, sitting outside and brushing. And not that I do all my brushing outside, but I tend to, when we're hanging out outside in the afternoon, grab the brush and go over Riggs, or I'll, when he has a meal, I'll go over his body with a brush as he's eating. But I probably skipped it for about a week when we had our rain, just because he was wet a lot of the time. So I noticed that when I went back to it a week later, he wasn't so happy about it as he had been. So now I'm back at it every couple of days and doing his nails every couple of days. But changing his association to being groomed, if I went the route of, he's in my office here, and sometimes I'll put him away when I'm doing videos and things like that, but I figured this is what my office is like, and he's watching kind of the world go by this morning, and he's barking at things that he doesn't recognize. So changing the association, if you go about it, like if I had a groomer and I just called the groomer and I hadn't done any brushing, if I didn't do anything myself, no nails, no looking in ears, no checking teeth, and none of that, and I said to the groomer, here you go, here's my puppy, he's 16 weeks old, he's never been groomed before, and they took him and tried to groom him, it would be a struggle. More than likely, it would be a struggle. I know with Riggs, it would have been a huge struggle. And the more that we pin them down, hold them tight, make them just accept it, the more they hate it. And then they get a negative association to it, like doing nails. We hold their feet really tight, and whether they like it or not, they're doing it, and we maybe have two people holding them. So they actually get a negative association. A negative association is created to the event that they already hate. So if we do it in baby steps, which is one of my mottos in life, baby steps to success, in everything, not even just dogs. If we add food, and Riggs is very food motivated, which is an amazing thing when you get a puppy. Some dogs are not food motivated, so we need to find out what motivates them. There's a guy delivering flyers outside of my house, walking by, so Riggs is kind of spooked about that. So if we add food to the situation that he doesn't like, say brushing or doing his nails, a lot of food in the beginning, a lot of really high value treats, depending on how much they hate it, is how high a value your treats have to be. So kibble worked for him. He didn't like it. He didn't like to sit still. He was a wiggle maniac. He wasn't growling or biting or anything like that, which a lot of dogs learn to do when we're trying to brush them. They're attacking the brush. And so he realized very quickly that if he just sat there and allowed me to brush him or do his nails, that the treats were just going to keep coming. So now only weeks later, I have a puppy that comes running to be brushed, and he's still not loving being groomed. I don't know if any dog loves to be groomed. Some dogs love to be brushed because they learn that it's like a massage. He's great about having his nails dremeled. I can brush his whole body. I can look at his teeth, which is really important. He didn't like having my hands in his mouth at all. And that one's a little tougher because you can't just be continually feeding the dog or the puppy when you're trying to look at their teeth, because then they're chewing, right? So what I did for that was just make it a really enjoyable experience. So when he was sitting on my lap in the evening wanting to be pet and we're just watching TV, I would just every once in a while rub his gums and kind of coo to him, oh, this is nice. How nice is this? And because that's what I did with Elsa. Elsa had bad teeth, or crooked teeth, I guess. They were coming in weird, and I had to have my hands in her mouth all the time, sort of trying to push on her canines to move them a little bit as much as I could, and they ended up being okay. Riggs has got great teeth. He actually has little tiny baby teeth, the smallest I've probably ever seen. But it's very important that we be able to look in their mouth. I don't want a dog that's going to freak just because I'm looking in his mouth, or I want to look in his eyes or his ears. So there was a lot of just, this is an enjoyable activity on my lap, and while you're getting pet, I'm going to pet your gums too. And so he actually enjoys it now. I love to see, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see I posted a photo of Elsa and Riggs waiting to be blow dried this morning. My husband was in the bathroom getting ready for work, and he was doing it, blow drying his hair, and as soon as they hear the hair dryer now, they both stand outside the bathroom door, both of them wagging their tails, and they can't wait to get in there and get blow dried, because they know that after they get blow dried, they get a treat. And for Riggs, he was really freaked at the hair dryer. He would probably stay away. He watches a lot. He watched Elsa get in there and get her massage. And she doesn't just get blow dried in the morning. She gets a full-on blow drying massage. I mean, who wouldn't like that? Warm air, a massage. I'll have that. I'd like that every morning. So he watched that and realized that, wow, she seems to be enjoying this, but he still stayed away probably 6 to 8 feet and he wouldn't come anywhere near. And so I started just pointing the hair dryer towards him so he would feel it on his feet. And it's just a regular hair dryer. It's not even my Grooming forced air dryer, and tossing treats to him. So 6 to 8 feet, he would have these little tiny kibbles landing on the ground. So that enabled me to get him closer and closer and closer until he actually had to come and take them out of my hand while the hair dryer was on, pointing at his feet. And so he would, he had the posture of, okay, I'm coming towards you, but my body is heading backwards in case I need to run for my life. And so from there, we moved to more treats, and the hairdryer then went on his body, and then I cut the treats back when he was coming into the bathroom and staying in the bathroom, and so he got blow dried while I was rubbing him with my hand. Then I would give him a treat, and it's very important to give, while you're doing this, the work on creating an association, you have to give the treats while the thing that they don't enjoy is going on. So while the hairdryer is on, he gets his treats. If the hairdryer gets turned off, there's no treats. The same thing with grooming. While the trimmer is on, he gets his treats. While the Dremel is running, he gets his treats. That's a little tougher because he's got this big full coat and I've got him on my lap and I'm trying to Dremel his nails. So when I give him a treat, I have to turn the Dremel away so that his hair doesn't get caught up in the Dremel. But it's very important that he be hearing this noise. This is happening when he gets his treat. And then when it gets turned off, nothing. You stop your happy talk, you stop the treats coming. And then what you end up with is a dog that will sit and enjoy this and allow you to do it, and they get a treat at the end. So now Elsa comes in the bathroom in the morning and she gets blow dried and her massage. And that's enjoyable in itself. She actually enjoys the whole thing. But she also knows that she gets a treat. So as soon as it's all done, we come out and she gets a small treat. And it's just such a great thing to have a dog that wants to interact with those things that they started out disliking. Elsa was just like Riggs. She is not a fan of grooming. She's going to be 8 years old this July, and she still does not enjoy grooming. And I tell her all the time how lucky she is that I do very minimal grooming. I'd rather cut it all off than have to maintain a big fuzzy coat. Now, Riggs is different because he's got puppy hair, and it's so wispy and easy to take care of and easy to brush. And there will come a time when he starts matting up as his adult coat starts to come in and he gets a coat change. And at that point, it will probably come all off because I am not one to maintain. I don't like to brush every day. And I like my dogs to have no mats in their hair. So when they start matting up because their hair is getting too long, and a lot of times they'll mat like where their harness sits or where they have a collar. And so when that happens, it comes off. And because I don't want them to have to sit through a lot of grooming, a lot of brushing. Elsa's funny. She tolerates brushing, but she still to this day absolutely hates it and would prefer that she never be brushed again in her life. But she's really good about it. She stands still and she comes when I want to groom her. But I just wanted to talk to you today about association and how easy it is, especially if you have a dog that is highly food motivated. And I'm going to say most puppies, almost all puppies come to us being food motivated. There are some that aren't motivated enough by food, but we also have to consider if I work a lot with Toasted O's, Cheerio type things that's about the lowest value treat. And at this point, Riggs is getting those for going to the bathroom outside, which work for him. He still is looking at me, looking over his shoulder. He's waiting for his treat as soon as he goes to the bathroom, so that works. For grooming, it needs to be high value because he absolutely hated it. So if you're using something, a lot of people use kibble, and if your dog's food works, that's great. I have a different type of kibble that I keep in my pocket. It's very tiny. The brand is Now, and I use a small breed. because it's little tiny kibbles. And that's all I want to give any dog actually as a reward, because when you're working with them, you want to get a lot of training in per session, whether you're training a obedience behavior to sit down, or if you're trying to create the positive association, you want to get a lot of treats in there. So you don't want to be giving them big pieces to sit there and chew, and you have to wait and then try to create another association. So you want to be able to get lots of little treats in there. So if your dog is food motivated, pairing that food with the activity that they don't enjoy works miracles. It just works miracles, and you end up with a dog, instead of say grooming becomes a nightmare. You've tried to cut your dog's nails, and every time you try to cut them, they get worse and worse, and they're squirming, and you're holding tighter, and then they're screaming, and you need help from someone. All you're doing is fueling that hate of that event. It could be a fear-based reaction. It could just be, I do not want to get my nails cut, and I'm going to fight tooth and nail to stop you from doing it. So by adding food and going, wow, if you just sit here and let me do this, I will just give you treats, it becomes bearable. Then they actually will sit there and allow you to do it. And it sometimes turns into something that they will come running for, which is amazing and wonderful when you're dealing with our canines on a daily basis. So there you have it. No matter what it is, if you pair it, if you have a food motivated dog and you pair food with whatever your dog hates, you will end up with baby steps creating a positive association. So have a great Friday, and I'll talk to you all later.